I need to be taken care of 24/7 because I can't do anything for myself.
Like and subscribe right now, or this spider will crawl on your face when you are sleeping. We have seen the weight loss stories on My 600-Pound Life, but there's a fact that their journeys are as complicated as their love lives. The hit TLC The Reality Show not only profiled the day-to-day realities of the morbidly obese patients, but also shines a light on their tricky romantic lives. You think that you've already seen all the juicy drama? In today's video, I'm going to do some sneak peek into the love lives of guests of My 600-Pound Life. Lovers become enablers. As we have seen Dr. No to share his remarks on the show that most of his patients who come to meet him, their actual biggest problem is their partners, as they are enablers who bring unhealthy foods for them, even knowing the fact that it's literally killing their partners. By the way, oftentimes, the enablers are family members and usually extend to their lovers. For instance, we have seen Lupe's husband, Gilbert, bring her all the food she asked for, even a large box of donuts when she was diabetic, totally bedridden, and on oxygen. I mean, what kind of love is this? Not just that. There was Christina, whose husband, Zach, admitted once on the cameras that if Christina demands something to eat, he gets it for her because he didn't want Christina to be angry with him. He even shared that in spite of the fact that he asserted he was scared to lose her, and there was Amber, who was commuted by her boyfriend, Rowdy, to and from the grocery store. Her boyfriend said he felt guilty about enabling her, but also claimed that it was too hard to stop because what else do you do when you are so in love with somebody? Yes, he is right that when we are in love with somebody, we do whatever they like or whatever makes them happy, but it's a slow suicide, my bro. By the way, each man I have mentioned above has professed their devotion and love for their partners, but I must add that they also had some psychological issues to deal with. Not so romantic partners. All the patients of My 600-Pound Life revealed some various degrees of their different functionality, which might be depending on their health conditions, physical decline, age, and weight, of course. But when in fact, there were some patients who were relatively mobile and who can get themselves whatever type of junk food they crave for, like if you remember Randy. By the way, others were in a much more terrible situation, just like Marla McCants, who couldn't even stand up on her feet when she was first featured on the show. But in the other cases, there were many of the stars who used to rely on at least one other person in their life, which quite mostly will be no one but their romantic partners, to take care of everything for them, which includes buying food for them or preparing their food, dressing them after bathing them, transporting them to and fro to do their tasks, and even assisting them to use the restroom. Gilbert had to do both to help Lupe bathe and use the bathroom, all from her bed since she was totally confined to her bed and unable to leave it. If you ask me, then such a persistent physical toll could surely put a damper on any romance. Gilbert even shared that he needs to be taken care of 24/7 because he can't do anything for himself. Some aren't meant for each other. As a viewer, you might be thinking that once the stars lose weight, their life can come on the right track and they can become more active and get their romantic lives back together so their relationships would also improve, especially as in many cases, the partners of the obese patients have become their primary caretakers by sacrificing much of their energy and time to take care of them. But there are other cases in which the partners of the My 600-Pound Life stars aren't on their side with the changes that are significantly because of the weight loss. There must be a reason that they may feel intimidated by seeing a significant change in their lovers, such as newfound independence and being concerned that now their partners won't need them. Same happened with Laura when she shed hundreds of pounds and started taking care of her own things to handle or to do. Her husband, Joey, became extremely unhappy with that. According to him, he didn't want Laura to be independent and disliked her idea of her for aspiring to go back to school and get a job. Because of all that, their relationship became so downcast that they both ended up splitting. That's totally good for Laura, I must say. Luckily, she found herself a new loving man and she celebrated in a since-deleted Facebook post. By the way, God knows if the two are still together or not, but I wish her all the best. Love can be found again. Just as you might be convinced to admit that it's totally hard for such stars to find love and romance in their life, and you might also be suspecting that if their relationship doesn't work and crash and burn, they'll have a difficult period finding someone new to call their partners. But for so many of these stars, their biggest and the least worry is to find love. Once they get a divorce or split their ways from their partners, they don't find any kind of problem while finding someone new. That's what happened with Tanisha when her husband Troy left her by walking out on her because he wasn't willing to support her to lose her weight and change her life. And while that nearly deranged her progress altogether, and eventually she became able to move on, even before Tanisha's episode was halfway over, she even had a new boyfriend.
Because I'm happy now. I have a new man in my life. His name is David.
Clearly, at the drop of a hat, Tanisha was able to find new love, and not just that. As with that added spark in her life, she also found hell of a motivation to continue her weight loss journey. Everyone has their own type. Well, no one has to be surprised or shocked to know that some of the My 600 Pound Life patients tie up with people who are definitely into extremely large women or men weighing 600 pounds. While of course, there's no shame and embarrassment in being in love or attracted to such people with big bodies, reducing them to an object as their size is where everything becomes problematic. So when these stars made up their mind to create changes in their life to improve their living style, and for their literal well-being, so for their partners, it becomes a real problem to deal with. That's exactly what happened with Zaylin, as her husband Gareth was very clear about the fact that he was only into large women, and as they both met on an adult website for fat fetish people where Zaylin used to post scantily clad pictures of herself in little more than underwear. And throughout her episode, he made sure to mention it many times. When they both started to like each other, they eventually got married and had a child. But things got changed when Zaylin decided to do something to change her lifestyle and her increasingly dangerous size. Her husband Gareth wasn't happy with that, as he wasn't supportive in her weight loss journey.
I've always liked bigger women, Why settle for a hot dog when you can have a steak?
So, because of his unsupported attitude towards Zaylin, they eventually divorced. Don't be sad for her, as it turned out that it was the best decision for Zaylin to put herself first and focused on her health. Finding happiness. There's a glimmer of hope for the longtime viewers. In fact, that many of the stars appeared on the show once they turned their lives around. Luckily, they find healthier and romantic relationships. Because it's obvious that when someone is feeling good about themselves, the person surely has more to bring to the table, and it surely makes sense. Well, just after a couple of years, Zaylin divorced with Garrett, and when she lost a significant amount of weight, she was seen with a man in a photo posted on her Facebook page. By the looks of it, it was clear that Zaylin had found peace and happiness with a new boyfriend who is hopefully way more supportive and cares of her health than her ex was. Well, there's another happy news that Lupe was able to find a new boyfriend after her episode aired on the show, and it was revealed from a very cozy post on her Facebook account with her guy Andrew. Breaking the knots of abuse. The wide majority of my 600 Pound Life patients have faced and endured the traumatic incidents in one form to another, which includes abusive attitudes from the family members who were supposed to love them and protect them from all the scenarios they have been through. But still, nothing has stopped most of them from hurting their romantic partners and perpetuating that abuse. Lee, one of the stars featured on the show, stood out as especially cruel because he was both physically and verbally abusive to his girlfriend Rena, which was actually acknowledged by Dr. No as a real problem. These things continued in their follow-up episode despite all the facts that Lee did his best and his efforts were solid to control his anger in front of the cameras. By the way,
the only time you are ever nice to me or talk to me like a human is when you need or want something.
Yeah.
That's not always the case, as it's not just the stars who are or were abusive to their life partners. Because most of the time, we have seen that the abuse goes the other way too. Such as in the case of Zaylin. Her husband was verbally abusive towards her, and on top of that, he shouted at Zaylin and told his own daughter that he wished she had never been born. In fact, once, Gareth blatantly insulted Zaylin when she simply asked for a salad in front of their daughter, who was watching whatever was going on.
I'd rather have a salad.
I'm not buying you a salad. If you want to eat grass, you can go in the garden and graze.
Christina, contestant of season 2, also eventually split from her ex-husband Zach and shared on her follow-up episode that she called him out on his abusive behavior. Well, That's all guys for today with the love lives of guests of my 600-pound life. Thanks for watching. And if you guys found it interesting, I would much appreciate it if you comment down below about the video and leave the thumbs up. Last but not least, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon for getting updates related to our latest videos.